Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host and game master, AJ. Another real quick intro this time around before we jump into episode 52. You may remember that I mentioned in the intro to our last episode that we're thinking of doing another Q&A episode real soon, all about this current Call of Cthulhu storyline once it's over. With that in mind, it'd be super awesome if you have a question that you want answered by us, if you would think about sending it in to us so that we can start collecting all of those. We don't have a date yet that we're planning on recording that, but the sooner that you send in your questions, the better, really. Stay tuned for more info on that in the coming weeks. Other than that, we're just going to quickly recap what happened in our last episode. So, with his memories returned to him, Alistair, along with Madam Sway, sat down for an interview at the police station, where he posed an innocent explanation for his presence at all the murder scenes around town. Unwilling to sound crazy by talking about the monster which he had encountered the previous evening, he claimed that his unconsciousness and amnesia had been brought about by a blow to the back of the head. Meanwhile, Barnard returned to the riverbank and the field behind the theatre, searching for any clues in the light of day, but finding nothing new, however, he moved on, taking a look across the harbour to the manor house, Druitt Hall, before rejoining the others. Together, the three of them made their way up to the sanitarium. Madam Sway snuck into the records room to find out more about the secretive Druitt family, and Alistair had a look around for anything suspicious before having to hide behind some equipment to avoid being discovered in the operating theatre. Barnard visited with his friend Jenkins and was horrified to discover that as part of Jenkins' so-called treatment, his liver had been removed. That's pretty much where we left off, so without any further ado, let's begin today's episode. Enjoy. So Barnard, having looked at the medical chart and seeing the declaration that they've taken your friend's liver, can I get a sanity check from you?
Absolutely. I got 40.
40? Okay, yeah, you're fine. So it's more just the strangeness of the situation is like, what are these people doing? What is going on here? Why is this happening? And so you just lose a sanity point as your anger overtakes you at what is happening. So go down to 42, please, from 43.
Okie doke.
And so, with that in mind, what are you doing in the ward?
Okay, having looked at the chart and seeing that the liver has been removed and having a moment of ponderance, Barnard looks around elsewhere into the ward, and is there a nurse or anybody else nearby that you can kind of grab hold of?
Yes, there is a nurse.
Stride over towards the nurse that he spotted then and say, "Excuse me, nurse, what the hell is happening here? You've removed my friend's liver. As I understand it, that's a vital organ."
She looked quite shocked. I've done nothing of the sort.
Somebody in here has. And with the chart still in hand, he passes it to her and kind of says, "Explain."
She initially has got a look on her face as if, you've lost your mind, kind of crazy who would remove a liver. But then as soon as she sort of looks down at the chart, she does see the note on there, which is, it's quite clear as to what's happened to Jenkins. She frowns, she sort of, this can't be right. But this is Dr. Courtley's handwriting. This is very...
Courtley, you say?
Yes, he's the...
I believe I've seen the man. He's out there tending to that local lady, yes?
I don't know where he is, sir, but he is in charge of the sanitarium.
Okay, well, it's on the orders of the highest up around here, then. I suppose you won't know anything more, will you?
Well, no. I mean, this is news to me. But this is not proper medical procedure to take out somebody's liver.
Well, clearly. Tell me where this man's office is. I must speak to him straight away.
Well, of course, his office is just upstairs. I have questions myself about this. I'll come with you, sir.
By all means. And with that, Barnard kind of turns and starts a pace out of the room.
Yeah. Madam Sway, are you going with him, or...?
Yes, I'm a little bit shaken by the sudden abruptness and the gentle calm, but yeah, she'll quite dutifully, curtly walk out with him.
Okay.
Barnard's 100% driven. You can see it in his eyes that he's kind of switched off from everything else. That you're there, Sway, but he's not really engaged with you at the moment.
She can tell that. She's just like, I'm gonna just step back. I'm gonna let you do you. and just follow after you to make sure you don't unnecessarily harm someone.
The spirit.
just for a question, are you guys still both armed? I take it.
It's in my purse.
Just based on that comment you just said, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That's not a leading question. It's just based on you saying not unnecessarily hurt someone. I was thinking, wait.
Well, he's enraged, so it could escalate. Sway wants to be there just in case it does.
Okay. All right. So the nurse leads the two of you upstairs then, you leaving the ward behind you. Upstairs doesn't appear to be any kind of wards or things up there, but it's more of a sort of... It's a bit more kind of, I don't know, well-appointed isn't the right word, but it does, it's a little less kind of clinical upstairs. There's sort of some quite nice wood panelling on the walls and things, and she leads you along the corridor to a closed door which has an engraved brass plaque on it which says Dr. Quartley. She knocks on the door. There's a short pause and no response.
You said you weren't sure where this man was. Has he been in the sanitarium today at all?
Well, I would think so, but I haven't seen him myself. I mainly work the wards.
Barnard slams his fist a lot harder than she did on the door 3 times.
Madam Sway is just going to flinch each time he strikes the door and just go, please let it not be mahogany.
Any reaction from inside the room?
There is, again, no response from inside.
Okay. With that, Barnard kind of looks at the nurse a bit pissed off and tries the door handle.
Appears to be locked.
How much give is there on this door? Trying to give it a shake to get a sense of, is it really sturdy, or does it feel like maybe a man of Barnard's stature could perhaps put himself through it, should he feel like it?
That's a good question. You know what? Make a check for it. See, make an intelligence check.
Oh, intelligence! Oh dear.
Just to okay.
Just to see if Barnard's confident about giving this a shoulder charge. 86. You're not sure. I mean, in your kind of rage, you're just like, you might be able to knock the door down, but you can't really tell. It is locked securely. Okay then, not entirely sure that it's going to work then. Barnard kind of takes 2 steps away from the door and turns to the nurse and Madam Sway and says, "Ladies, please step back."
And the nurse says, what are you going to do?
I'm going to get into this damned room one way or another.
Barnard, I do not think that is a wise decision.
He has injured my friend Jenkins gravely. He will die without his liver woman. Do you understand?
And it's obvious he's not here. The door is locked. He's not in the hospital. Now, I'm just going to march up to him like she was a child and just point her finger at him. Look, we can wait here. We can send the nurse to go and telephone him at his residence if he doesn't live here at all. If he's out, we'll just wait. And she will let him know that we are waiting here at his office to talk to him. Calmly.
Barnard kind of glowers and breathes deeply in and out through his nose as he looks down at Madam Sway saying this to him.
Madam Sway is just pointing and looking at him going, not a smart idea. It's willing him to just calm down.
You feel
send her away.
You hear kind of a squeak or something, and look down to see the grip around Barnard's walking stick is very, very tight now, and his knuckles are white. And he kind of, through grated teeth, says, "I appreciate your point, I suppose we should wait.
I'm going to turn to the nurse.
She looks a little bit kind of disturbed by the whole situation. The anger isn't helping.
I'm very sorry, my dear. He does get very stressed and very upset. Do be a dear and try and find the doctor. We'll just wait here, and with calmer heads.
He sort of she says, "Okay, I'll go ask one of the other nurses if they've seen him." She disappears back off down the corridor, leaving the two of you there.
I'm just going to turn to Barnard and then just look at him, point to the door. Now you may take the door.
Okay.
Barnard's group
I'm just going to step out
unexpectedly, like you've like there's a momentary kind of flutter in his eyelids where it's like, pardon?
I'm just going to point to the door and get out of the way.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
And he kind of manages to pull the slightest sliver of a smile and nods towards you before taking a stance to brace and shoulder charge the door.
I've already been in His Majesty's services already today. I don't particularly want to go back. This seemed a little less criminal.
If there's no witnesses.
If there's no witnesses, yes.
Okay, so
anyway,
I'm trying to decide whether to have it just be like a straight strength check or whether it would be like a thing where you're in combat with the door.
Oh, wait, speaking of
I like that as
that,
an idea.
I have locksmithing and I've just...
Noting that, you're noting that you've got lockpicks, I feel like we should keep going with what we're doing, but then... Yeah,
keep going. It's in character. She's actually just letting him get his rage out and hopefully the witness gone, we can get away with it.
So I think what we'll just do a straight strength check for battering down the door, because I can't, I think because you just sort of putting your shoulder into it and then going at the door.
There's not much technique being applied here. It's really just throwing his entire body weight at the door. Yeah,
I think dependent on what you roll, it might just be the single check, or it might be that we'll see how it turns out, kind of thing.
Okey-doke. Well, let's see then.
Rather than doing full combat against a door, which I don't have the stats to hand to for a door. So, yeah. Okay.
Oh dear, roll for initiative on door.
Which one's going to go first, you or the door? Okay, so can I just get a straight strength check for you?
Break it down. Break it down.
Oh, 75.
75.
Strength is 80.
Strength is 80, luckily, because that was a pretty high roll for that. So, yeah, you put your shoulder into it and you batter against the door, but the lock is pretty solid. The door kind of shakes in its frame, and it makes a really big kind of bam, noise as you hit it. But the door is still in place. Can I get another check from you? If you want to put another go at it. It's rattled in its frame, and it doesn't seem as solid as it was, but it's definitely still closed.
I'm going to give it at least 3 hard hits. Oh, and I failed. 90.
90. That's a failure. So yeah, as you go to hit it this time, you just kind of catch the door frame on your shoulder. I mean, you're already kind of walking with your cane, and it just, you feel your shoulder. You feel the pain, basically, and the door is still standing.
Bugger! And he kind of grabs his shoulder, leaning forwards in agony, and kind of looks up a bit sheepishly towards Madam Sway, like, don't say a word.
Just going to give him a very sympathetic look and try and, help him out of the way of the door.
Do you have any better suggestions for a means of getting into that room, seeing as my brute strength got us nowhere?
I can have a little try, I suppose. She's going to take a hairpin out of her hair and go and attempt to try and pick the lock.
Okay. Make a locksmith roll for me.
Oh, I managed to reach.
Oh, equal it. Okay, yeah, we'll call that's good enough for me. So with Barnard having loosened the mechanism a little bit with his first hit, you do after it still takes you sort of 30 seconds to a minute, but you just managed to turn the latch mechanism inside, and the lock clicks open.
Open sesame.
Nicely
and then I'm
done.
just going to tilt my little head like a little a little curtsy and open the door for Barnard.
Sitting inside, looking very confused, is a no.
Small genie in a lamp.
No. The door swings open to a revealing the office of Dr. Quarterly. It's a large wooden desk. The walls are panelled. There's bookshelves along one wall, all of which seem to have sort of a variety of kind of medical journals, mixed in with a few sort of general kind of literature sort of titles. There appears to be nobody in here though, at the moment.
Is there a diary or like a planner on his desk?
That's a very good question. I mean, not really sitting out. No, sitting on the desk itself, there's a pen and ink. There is some blank paper. There's a small clock on the desk, but there's no books on the desk at the moment. No obvious diary or anything like that.
Okay, looking around the room as we enter, then Barnard's kind of taking note of. Is there anything on the walls, like, or furniture-wise, or anything generally incongruous? Something completely out of place, a piece of artwork, perhaps, or anything that's not in keeping with what a doctor's office might contain?
I get more and more conscious of the fact that we just keep making intelligence checks, but because I would rather, because this is almost kind of a knowledge thing on your part of being like, what would a doctor have?
I'm looking through the skills myself and trying to see if there's anything that would fit the bill.
It's dependent a little bit on Barnard's sort of knowledge of what doctors, because this isn't like an examination room, this is an office.
Yeah.
So it's dependent a little bit on Barnard's imagination of what a doctor would have in their private office, kind of thing. Make an intelligence check, just a straight intelligence check, see if anything just kind of jumps out at you straight away.
47,
and your intelligence was 50, so okay.
Scraped it
through. Yeah. On one wall there is a quite large kind of landscape painting, which appears to be of the just kind of the area that the town is in, sort of around the harbour is visible, and you can see that the buildings of the town are kind of visible. It's almost like it's painted from the top of the headland that you haven't, sort of that's by the manor house is in the shadow of. It doesn't appear out of place. It's just kind of like that's taking up a large amount of space on one wall. It's not painted as a particularly kind of nice scene. There's kind of dark clouds and things, but you do, sort of looking at it, see that the sanitarium itself is visible from, at least in the painting, which sort of strikes you as a little odd because you're a little bit further away from the headland and that bit of town. So this might have been a sort of request of like make sure the sanitarium is visible in the painting, and it's almost sort of given a little bit of kind of pride of place as like sort of painted as like, oh, this is sort of what a sort of shining thing in the town, visible, but other than that, it could just be a kind of ego sort of driven thing of like, this is the town we're in and we're such an integral part of it, sort of thing. Other than that, though, nothing is really jumping out of you as like, here's a here's a signed confession saying I did it all, or my evil.
I wasn't expecting quite that much.
Or like a whiteboard with my evil plan in bullet points, or anything. Nothing is jumping out at you as sort of odd. There is another painting which appears to be a portrait of a young man with blonde hair, which you actually recognise from when you saw him briefly in passing, as this is a portrait of Dr. Quarterly.
Okay, so seeing the painting of Quarterly, sort of motioning towards Madam Sway and saying, "This man must be Quarterly. He's the one I saw leaving the building the other day." And this being his office, bit of a I don't know, egotist perhaps to have a picture of himself up on the wall.
It is a little odd.
Yes, quite. What kind of furniture is in the room with us? Like, is there a, like, beyond the desk?
There's quite a sort of high-backed, quite sort of plush sort of chair.
I think I know the type.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Usually leather-clad with the kind of buttons in it.
Yeah, that
a Regency chair.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, there's that. There are some small. There is a pair of chairs in front of the desk, which are just kind of wooden, sort of. They're definitely not as well appointed, as the one behind it, and they each got a cushion on them as well. So it's not completely Spartan. Other than that, though, I mean, there's not really much sort of in the way of sort of standing kind of furniture. There's the bookshelves along the wall, like I said. There is a sort of cabinet in one corner, though, which appears to be wooden and it's closed.
Okay.
Is there anything in it?
Well, let's find out.
Let's have a nosy.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at the desk and the cupboard and noting that there's not much in there, Barnard's going to turn to Madam Sway and say, "We ought not dally. That nurse will probably be back quite soon. You take the desk. I'll check that cabinet."
All right. We'd best keep an eye out, though, as well. Listen, keep our ears to the ground. If we start hearing footsteps, we best hurry out.
Quite.
Can I get a listen check from each of you as well, by the way, now that you've said that?
Okay.
So, Barnard, you don't have anything in this, it's 20%, and same for you, Madam Sway.
Well, I'm a big old failure at the rolls once again.
So 88 from Barnard on his listen, 48 from Madam Sway. So you can't hear anything right now. So as far as you can tell, it's all fine. Madam Sway, then you are looking at the desk, is that right?
Yes, I'm going to check all the drawers and quickly scan some of the paperwork if there is any paperwork.
Okay, so there's on one side of it there is each side has two drawers on it with the sort of the bit where your legs go in between. You all know how desks are.
Yes, we all know how desks work.
How do you want to go at them? There's two on each side.
I will start with the ones on the left.
On the left? Okay. So the top drawer on the left opens easily enough, no problems there. Appears to be in there. You can see a stethoscope and a couple of labelled bottles, glass bottles, with clear liquids within them.
Are there any labels on the bottles?
Yes, they are labelled. One of them says ether, and one of them says vodka.
Well, those are pain medication. Well, they can be used for pain, really, for knocking out people at least. I'm just going to slightly pocket them.
Okay.
Down in my jacket. They might come in useful later.
Alright, okay. Yeah, they're not huge, but it's not like a huge thing. They're both they're kind of like small sort of,
little like
sample bottle type things.
Like,
yeah,
like phylactery almost, like.
Yeah. You could pocket them if you wanted to.
Yep.
So the the lower drawer, as you open it, appears to have some just blank paper, more blank paper in it. Some of the sheets are sort of laid out as sort of blank forms for just general kind of medical stuff to do with the sanitarium. You would sort of figure
like an application form, like your address. And
kind of slightly sort of admin-y type stuff, but they're all kind of blank and empty on that side.
Okay, moving on to the other side.
So the other side, the top drawer on the right-hand side has some spare pens, like sort of ink, because they're the fountain pen type things, with a couple of bottles of ink in there as well. It's only kind of a small drawer at the top, and the lower drawer appears to be empty.
There's not much in this desk. Mainly just papers and forms and supplies. Nothing incriminating yet. What about you, Barnard?
Well, let's see. So while you were going through the drawers and what have you, Barnard was trying to get into that cupboard, and what was he meant by?
So the cupboard itself doesn't appear to be well locked or anything like that. It's not so much a cupboard, it's more like a small cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And as you open the doors on it, you are greeted by a quite well-stocked bar.
Okay.
Several glasses and various different spirits in there.
And that's the be-all, end-all of what's in this cabinet?
As far as you can see, yes.
Okay. Okay then, as soon as I've opened the cupboard, then Barnard sort of snorts and goes, quite the drinker, this man, it seems. And turning towards Madam Sway and seeing that she's just finishing up and hearing her saying all of those things she was just saying about not having found anything, well, it seems this was a rather fruitless endeavour. And turning back towards the bar, can I quickly spot a bottle of gin if it's available to the naked eye?
Make an intelligence check for me.
We're like a travelling band of alcoholics.
Speak for yourselves.
To be fair, that's like every single game we play on this podcast. It's like, how much booze can we make? You're in a bit of a hurry. You can't see. I mean, there's a lot of bottles in here. You can't really specifically spot a gin one.
I feel like getting a 98 is like basically just being concussed out of the blue or something.
Not with a 98. You can't. You're quickly.
There's no drinks here.
You can always just grab one and then trade it with the shopkeeper later.
Nah, gin's what he's looking for, and if it ain't there, then he ain't getting anything. Closing the cabinet again and trying to make it appear as though it's not been handled at all. Turning back towards Sway, Barnard asks, I suppose we should get the hell out of here and find our compatriot. We've left him in the elsewhere in this place for quite some time.
Yes, we did say we weren't going to be long. We should find him quickly. Which direction was he heading?
Well, that's a struggle to think. I've been swept up in these thoughts of Jenkins. You didn't catch it, no?
No.
When you left him, you went. I think you went left and he went right, in front of the door to men's ward 2. Mm-hmm. You went left and went down the stairs, and you didn't see where he went. You just knew that he went the other way.
Okay. Well, perhaps we should just retrace our steps and hope that we cross paths with him again.
Yeah, should we maybe head back to Jenkins?
Yes.
And then start from there.
I suspect it would be for the best if we cover our tracks on the way out of here. Have you closed all the drawers on that desk?
Yes, let's make sure we don't leave anything behind. I'll try and lock the door on the way out.
Okay.
Let's give it a go.
All right. Can I get, in terms of making sure that you've kind of put it back the way it was, I guess just another intelligence check. I mean, that's kind of our go-to, really, but it does cover a lot of things. This is more just to make sure that you've sized everything up, because it's not really like a...
I think you could argue spot hidden on that at a limit in terms of like...
Well,
how good is your memory that you walked in, took a mental snapshot, and you know that that's exactly what you're leaving behind?
Well, that's why I was going with intelligence, because the spot hidden is more that you are specifically trying to spot something that's hidden, not so much.
I'm just thinking in abstract terms for it. It's kind of like the opposite of spot hidden would be remember what you've moved.
I mean, but that said, though, you haven't moved a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we've just...
Hey, it's your call. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, and I that's why I've been kind of looking back and forth between those. I was thinking either that or like sleight of hand, but that would have been more if you were like you'd moved a bunch of stuff on the desk or whatever. So I think just an intelligence check from each of you to sort of just remember how things were and go from there. Barnard, you got no idea.
barely functioning as a human being in 94.
Madam Sway, I mean, as far as you can tell, seems okay.
It looks alright.
Yeah, it looks alright. Okay, so letting yourselves out, can I get a locksmith check again from you, Madam Sway, just to kind of try and lock the door behind you? 14. Oh yeah, no problem. You're able to put that back in. The door is still a little loose in the frame from Barnard's first hit, though. But hey, there's not a lot you can do about that.
Nothing you can do about loose wood.
How long have you been holding on to that one?
Literally the last 2 seconds.
That's what she said.
You bastard.
Okay, so while all this is going on, then I'm very conscious you've been sat quietly behind me for half an hour.
Yes. Thinking up jokes for later.
So while they've been investigating, we last left Alistair
Hiding, I think.
hiding behind a bit of machinery in an operating theatre. You think you're pretty well hidden.
Yeah. For a big chap.
Yes, you'd heard footsteps coming up the hallway and hidden yourself. And what you thought was the sound of rolling bed. A few seconds after you secrete yourself behind this machinery, I mean, you don't know what it does, it's just...
Big metal blocky thing on
Yeah,
wheels,
big
I'm
metal medical thing. The doors from the hallway open, and a team of orderlies is pushing a bed into the room. They are followed by a man with a white coat on and a sort of rubber apron on top of that. He's got a surgical mask on. The orderlies move the not struggling at all or anything, but look, the person looks very uncomfortable. It's a young man. Move him from his bed onto the operating table and strap his arms down. At this point, you see a couple of nurses also come into the operating theatre, and the doctor is sort of make his way alongside the patient. You can see, you get a bit of a better look at him at this point, and you see he's got blonde hair, and he's still, let's say, face mask on that, so you can't really make out any other facial details or anything. But he sort of makes his way up to the sort of the head end of the patient, who's, like I say, he's not struggling, but he doesn't look in a great way. Says, "Calm down, Mr. Williams. Nothing to worry about. We'll have you sorted out very soon." Nods to one of the nurses, and they inject the man with something. His struggling sort of seems to cease, and he, from your perspective, it looks like he's passed out, but you can't really tell.
Anesthetic.
Of some sort, yeah, could be.
Alistair will remain hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And literally just peering with one eye down the side of the unit that he's hidden behind.
Mm-hmm.
Try and catch a glimpse of what's going on.
Right.
Thinking if he tries to put both eyes around, he might get spotted, but one eye, he's got a chance of darting back quickly if necessary.
Okay.
So I'm staying put and watching, listening to see what's going on, because something about this hospital isn't right to him.
Mm-hmm.
Something about the sanitarium isn't right. He thinks if he stays in the theatre and just waits for whatever they're doing to be done, he might actually get some answers to what's going on.
Okay, alright.
He's inquisitive at this point, but he's staying hidden.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we'll need a couple of checks then.
Very well.
So, can I get... we'll start off with another stealth check.
Right.
You're not trained in stealth, so looking to get below 20 on this.
Fun. 15.
Pretty good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so now you've been in the room a little while, you're sort of able to kind of gauge, like, okay, yeah, I'm not, where you need to be to avoid being seen from the people who you see in here. So yeah, you managed to hide yourself pretty well.
Perfect camouflage. Me, medical unit, me, in perfect harmony. I have disappeared.
You said that out loud.
Shit.
You hide behind it. The perfect crime. No one will see me here.
Nurse, what is that disembodied voice I can hear? Right, so yeah. I'm just...
So you're quite well hidden, so not going to lie, that was one of the more important of the checks I'm going to have you make.
Excellent.
Which is good. So here's the thing. Now, if you're trying to figure out what's being done, for the sort of general picture of things, I'm going to need an intelligence check just to make sure you can kind of get an idea of what's actually happening at the same time as hiding.
Okay.
But if you want to be a bit more specific, I'm also going to need a medical check as well.
Wonderful.
Medicine check, sorry, which you are not trained in either. So you would need to roll a 1 on a D100.
So I'll do the intelligence.
The general picture of things first.
That is an 85.
85. Okay, so that's pretty high.
Yeah, way too high.
Your intelligence is 45.
Ouch.
So yes, not great. Let's say. So
they're doing medical stuff.
They are. He certainly seems to be a doctor of some sort.
Condescending git.
You think you're in a hospital? No. I mean, let's put it this way.
For the casual listener, AJ sometimes has what we call git mode. Okay, so I can't make out anything specific that they're doing.
I was just going to say, it's more that because you're hiding well, but because of that, you don't get a really good view of actually what's really going on.
Right, so hiding obscures my ability to see.
Yeah,
hear.
Yeah.
Right.
Just the place you picked is a good place to hide. It's not a great place for viewing an operation. Let's put it that way.
If there was a cupboard, I'd have gone in there, but...
Yeah.
So the other one is medicine check.
Well, it's a little bit redundant at this point. You can make it any way if you want, just to see if, I don't know really what you'd be trying to see, because you can't really get a very good view of what's happening.
I know that slicing sound. He's cutting a liver.
I'd know that anywhere.
Yeah. Slicing my pepperoni pizza.
Just for the hell of it, roll a...
78.
So that's not the one that you needed.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, you're hidden, and you can definitely tell they're doing stuff to this guy, but he's anaesthetized, so there's not, like, blood-curdling screams while anything's happening.
No.
You're just kind of hiding in a corner behind some stuff. You can't really see a lot. You're sat there for quite a while. I'd say... I mean, you quite quickly found your way into there, really, didn't you? So when you were kind of starting to hide was about when Madam Sway was in the basement records room. But you are sat there for maybe 45 minutes before the orderlies... the doctor rings a bell, and the orderlies come back in. He says to the nurses, if you'd be so good as to bandage up Mr. Williams... That'll be all for him for today, I think.
I will try and sneak a peek of what is the end result.
All right,
if anything can be spotted at all.
Again, I'm going to need a stealth check and an intelligence check.
Stealth first.
Yep.
36.
Okay.
For stealth.
That's not as low. It's not. It was 20 you're aiming for, but it's not a terribly low one. So. Okay, let's just get that intelligence one out of the way first, and then we'll see. We'll resolve that.
Oh, for fuck's sake, 001. I needed that 2 rolls ago.
Okay.
Seriously, it is 001.
So, yeah. You needed that 2 rolls ago. But...
fate, you are a bitch. Right.
His name is Sod, and he is a lord.
Yes.
So okay. You sort of quite quickly you're trying to kind of crane around this piece of equipment, and you do see the doctor walking out, but you also see next to the unconscious guy, who's now being kind of bandaged up around the midsection, one of the orderlies is closing what looks to be, it's quite a large kind of box. It's not that big, it's kind of like a carry case. You do just get a quick look inside, and it appears to be like an ice box of some sort. He's carrying that, and he carries that out after the doctor. But as you're craning around, you just kind of rest your hand on it, and the metal just kind of bows in slightly and makes a kind of metal noise.
Blast!
And so you're kind of pulling yourself back in. Yeah. All right. Gap of a couple of seconds. Nobody seems to come looking for you. They seem to be quite engrossed in wrapping and bandaging this guy, luckily.
Okay. Perfect camouflage. So Alistair has observed what looks like an icebox, sort
Could
of
be,
contraption
yeah.
in a case. In his head, he's thinking maybe organ transplant of some kind.
Could be.
'Cause
Yeah.
all he can think of is why they have an icebox, and they've operated on this person. They're putting something in there to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
So again, not enough information to go on what
No.
was removed.
And you haven't seen Jenkins' chart,
No, I haven't.
so
I haven't been anywhere near there. So based on what I can see, I'm assuming that they've just done some kind of operation where they've removed something. But I don't know if they put something in to replace what they took. I don't have that information.
you don't have that information.
All I know is that from the look of it, they've taken something from the man and put it in a box for transportation.
That you could put two and two together. With a roll of a 1, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So by this point, Madam Sway and Barnard are definitely this is about we've about lined it up now with at this point, as the doctor's gone, the orderly has carried this case out after him. A minute or so goes by, well, a couple of minutes go by, and they finish bandaging up the patient, and he is rolled out of the operating theatre, and you are left in there alone. And
Okay.
we are about about the same amount of time has passed in between.
Okay. So, Alistair, I think hearing that they've now wheeled the bed out, and there's no sound of anyone shuffling around, slowly creeps out from behind the machinery he was using for cover.
Right.
I move into the centre of the theatre quite slowly, just looking around and thinking back on what I observed at the end.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for any evidence or information about what has just been done. If anything's been left, like any chart information or anything's been written and left in here by accident, because sometimes doctors and orderlies and nurses leave things behind.
Okay.
So I'd like to do a kind of looking for something before I leave this room.
Right. Okay. Make an intelligence check for me.
80. I see nothing.
You see nothing. There's a bit of. I'll give it to you anyway because this is stuff I would have told you without the check. There is a bit of blood on the floor. Not a lot, but some.
Blood.
And you see there is kind of like a waste. There's a waste bin as well, which does have some sheets in it which are covered in blood and that. But you can't see any paperwork or anything like that.
Okay. So no tools left. No.
Oh yeah, no,
utensils
yeah.
left.
Utensils are all left there. They're all kind of soaking in like sort of trays that have got a bit of water in.
Can I spot which utensils they were using? Is there anything odd about the tools that they were using or the instruments?
Nothing odd. The ones that appear to have been used are like there's a few clamps, a scalpel, and just a couple of other sort of scalpels of different sizes. You would guess of different sort of
Different tissue
uses
depths
and that.
and
There
things.
isn't there's no like bone saw or anything.
Right. Nothing out of the ordinary then.
No. In fact, as you look, the bone saw is ready still on the side.
Right.
There's a few tools that have clearly not been used. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, Alistair at this point is... Well, I am just deciding that I'm not going to find anything else here. So I walk over to the doors leading out of the theatre and check through the viewing windows to make sure nobody spots me leaving.
Okay.
And I venture forth.
Okay. So, yeah, you stick your head out into the corridor. You can see further up the corridor, there is sort of the retreating backs of a couple of the orderlies, but the bed isn't there. In fact, you would guess it's probably been put into one of the wards. If you remember from last time, I described it as like this door that you're kind of coming out is on one side of the corridor, and then facing on the other side there'd be a door to men's ward 1 and a door to men's ward 2.
That's right, yeah.
So you would guess that you can't see the bed in this corridor, so it might have been put into one of those wards.
Right.
You didn't really get a good look at the guy's face, so you just noticed a Mr. Williams.
Right. I will head back towards the corridor where we split up initially, because I don't think I ever went into the same ward that Jenkins is in.
No, you went through the other one,
Yeah.
but you never went in the one that Jenkins was in. No.
Right, so I'll return to that point. I'll return to that corridor where we split up and I went right and the others went left.
Okay.
So I'll make my way there.
Yeah.
Casually.
It takes you a minute or two just to kind of...
Yeah.
Because you're a little bit wary of getting caught here. But yeah, you find your way back to the starting point, basically.
Okay, and I wait there for the others to reappear.
Okay. So, yeah, you are... Madam Sway and Barnard, you are leaving the office. You think fairly well as you found it, loose door aside. No sign of that nurse returning at this point. It's really only been a few minutes in between, since she left and when you guys kind of broke into the office. So, yeah.
Well, we were going to retrace our steps back towards where we'd come from, so we're headed back towards Jenkins.
Okay.
And his ward.
All right. As you're heading down the stairs, actually, you do cross paths again with the same nurse that you were sort of with earlier. She seemed to have been on her way back up to you, and she says, the doctor's been in surgery. I'm sure he's I'm not sure if he's coming back here or not. He seemed to be on his way out of the building.
Might I inquire as to whereabouts in town the doctor lives? We have urgent matters to discuss.
I can't really give out that information, I'm afraid.
I would like to... Well, Barnard turns towards Madam Sway and quizzically raises an eyebrow as if to sort of gauge her thought on that reaction.
Well, they don't... I assure you, my dear, he's not going to be violent with the dear doctor. He just wants to have some answers.
Well, I wasn't
His
really...
friend is rather dear to him.
I wasn't worried about the violence. I just can't really give out the doctor's information.
Are you sure you shouldn't be worried about violence? And I'd like to make an intimidate check.
Okay. I was going to say that's... Wow.
Here we go.
Because at this point you're just threatening this woman.
Well, I've got to talk to this doctor. No two ways about it. Oh, very effective intimidator. 6.
Yeah, she is scared as hell. Because she saw how angry you were earlier, and she's like, okay. I mean, I shouldn't be telling you this. He lives. He's got a large house to the north of town. It's a short ways if you carry along up the road that led to the sanitarium.
Well, we will take our leave then. Oh, thank you for your assistance. Reticent as you've given it.
She seems pretty kind of disturbed and is kind of backing it. Like you, yeah, she seems quite scared of you, and she's just sort of backing away.
Does this have any effect on Madam Sway, though?
Well, that's up to you.
That was a very high intimidation.
Well, I'll leave that up to you. Like,
Barnard's being scary war man right now.
Yeah, she's taking a backseat, so she's very quiet and very reserved now. So she's just gonna dutifully follow the
because the
Serbian spouse almost.
I was gonna say that the focus changed from Barnard being angry. Well, not really changed, but sort of went from Barnard angrily trying to find the doctor to him intimidating the nurse to get the information, if you know what I mean. It's a subtle shift, and like I say, it's totally up to you how you want to play this, really.
Just gonna mind her tongue for now.
Okay. Alright.
Okay then, and feeling the air, so to speak, around him having changed, Barnard kind of turns towards Sway and gives another nod as if to say, there we go, I've got the information, and gives another little nod to the side to be like, and onwards. So we'll continue on towards Jenkins' ward.
So, yeah, you guys come downstairs and you see Alistair there waiting for you, basically where you left him.
What timing, Alistair? We've been looking. We thought to look for you. We've just come from the doctor's office. Seems he's been performing unnecessary operations on people. Jenkins has had his liver removed.
His liver?
Yes.
He can't live without that, surely.
Well, that was my very first reaction, and he looks awful, quite frankly. I fear he's killed my friend.
We don't know that for certain.
With no liver, it's a matter of time, Sway.
I doubt the doctor would have probably done it without cause. There are many things that can affect the liver, I'm sure. Perhaps it was an effort to save his life.
The thing there, Madam...
We just don't know.
The thing there, Madam Sway, is if you're taking out someone's liver, the common thing to do is to put another one in straight away. You don't leave them without it because they will eventually expire. Although now you're telling me this, I should probably tell you what I've witnessed. I went looking around this level of the sanatorium, and I found myself cornered, hiding for the better part of, must have been about 20-30 minutes, in an operating theatre. Some poor chap was being operated on, and I can't be sure, but at the end of the procedure I got a glimpse of one of the orderlies handling what looked like a case with ice in it. Now, call me paranoid, but usually if you've got a box with ice and you're in an operating theatre, that means someone's organ is going into that case to keep it fresh. Now, I can't be certain what was taken out. I was too busy trying to keep myself from being caught. But there was a doctor in there. Couldn't make out his face. Not familiar voice, but blonde hair, quite distinctive.
Blonde.
Barnard.
Yes, blonde, quite distinctive blonde hair, but he was heading up the operation.
Seems likely to be our doctor. The man had a painting of himself in his own office. A streak of blonde hair across his head.
Yes, that might be the exact one then.
Are you both seriously suggesting that this doctor is killing his patients
Killing, perhaps not intentionally, but using them for something else, quite probably. Did you manage to get any answers about why they've done that to Jenkins?
We couldn't find the doctor. We went to his office, but he wasn't there, but even with a little snooping, we didn't find anything.
Right. Something tells me we should start looking for this doctor ourselves.
We have... Bernard
It's
has
funny
an
you
address.
should mention that. I happened to... we spoke to one of the members of staff, and I acquired the man's whereabouts, his home address. So yes, I agree. Let's pay a visit to the good doctor.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, so the three of you are leaving then? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Simple enough to leave, there's no, don't need any checks or anything, so...
To the forecourt.
To the taxi!
So, okay then, so with the plan that the three of you are going to intercept and question the doctor at his own residence, you make your way back through the corridors, past reception, and out through the front door of the sanitarium, leaving it behind you. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Our next story episode 53, continuing where we left off today, will be available as usual in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, the 4th of July. So we hope you'll all tune back in for that. In the meantime, you can get in contact with us on Twitter and Facebook, both of which we're at Pretend With Dice. You can also email us at pretendingwithdice@outlook.com. If you're an iTunes or Apple Podcast user, it'd be really great if you could leave us a rating and review. It all helps us to find new listeners, and we'd just really love to hear what you all think of the podcast. So for now, that's our show. I hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.